Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Exploring Marketing Research, Chapter number 10, Part 2, Observation. After studying this chapter, you should be able to explain the observation of physical objects and message content, describe major types of mechanical observation, summarize techniques for measuring physiological reactions. Observation in marketing research. In marketing research, observation is a systematic process of recording behavioral patterns of people, objects, and occurrences as they happen. No questioning or communicating with people is needed. Observation of physical objects. Physical phenomena may be the subject of observation study. Physical trace evidence is a visible mark of some past event or occurrence. For example, the wear on library books indirectly indicates which books are actually read, handled most when checked out. Observation of physical objects. A classic example of physical trace evidence in a non-profit setting was erosion on the floor tiles around the ch10 exhibit at Chicago's Museum of Science and Industry. These tiles had to be replaced every 6 weeks. Tiles in other parts of the museum didn't need to be replaced for years. The selective erosion of tiles indexed by replacement rate was a measure of the relative popularity of exhibits. Content analysis. Besides observing people and physical objects, researchers may use content analysis, which contains data by observing and analyzing the contents or messages of advertisements, newspaper articles, television programs, letters, and the like. This method involves systematic analysis as well as observation to identify the specific information content and other characteristics of the messages. Content analysis. Content analysis studies the message itself and involves the design of a systematic observation and recording procedure for quantitative description of the manifest content of communication. This technique measures the extent of emphasis or omission of a given analytical category. For example, content analysis of advertisement might evaluate their use of words, themes, characters, or space and time relationships. Another topic of content analysis is the frequency with which women, African Americans, or ethnic minorities appear in mass media. Mechanical observation. In many situations, the primary and sometimes the only means of observation is mechanical rather than human. Video cameras, traffic counters, and other machines help observe and record behavior. Some unusual observation studies have used motion picture cameras and time-lapse photography. Mechanical observation. An early application of this observation technique photographed train passengers and determined their levels of comfort by observing how they sat and moved in their seats. Another time-lapse study filmed traffic flows in an urban square and resulted in a redesign of the streets. Similar techniques may help managers design store layouts and resolve problems in moving people or objects through spaces over time. Mechanical observation. In many situations, the primary and sometimes the only means of observation is mechanical rather than human. Video cameras, traffic counters, and other machines help observe and record behavior. Some unusual observation studies have used motion picture cameras and time-lapse photography. Mechanical observation can be done with traffic counters, web traffic, scanners, pipometer, physiological measures. Monitoring website traffic. Nowadays, is consumer using the online store, so marketing researchers can monitor the website traffic, and researchers can see on hits and page views, Jupyter Media Matrix, Nielsen Net Rating, etc. All there to help the website traffic observation. Measuring physiological reactions. Marketing researchers have used a number of other mechanical devices to evaluate consumer physical and physiological reactions to advertising, copy, packaging, and other stimuli. Researchers use such means when they believe consumers are unaware of their own reactions to stimuli, such as advertising, or that consumers will not provide honest responses. Measuring physiological reactions. Four major categories of mechanical devices are used to measure physiological reaction. Number one, eye tracking, populiometer, psychogalvanometer, voice pitch. Eye tracking monitors. Eye tracking monitors record how the subject actually reads or views an advertisement. It measures unconscious eye movements. It was originally developed to measure astronauts' eye fatigue. Modern eye tracking systems need not keep a viewer's head in a stationary position. The devices track eye movements with invisible infrared light beams that, that lock onto a subject's eyes. Pupillometer. This device observes and records changes in the diameter of the subject's pupils. Pupillometer. A subject is instructed to look at a screen on which an advertisement or other stimulus is projected. When the brightness and the distance of the stimulus from the subject's eyes are held constant, changes in pupil size may be interpreted as changes in cognitive activity that results from the stimulus, rather than from eye dilation and contraction in response to the light intensity, distance from the object, or other physiological reactions to the condition of observation. This method of research is based on the assumption that increased pupil size reflects positive attitudes toward and interest in advertisements. Psychogalvanometer. It measures galvanic skin response. This device is based on the assumption that physiological changes such as increased perspiration accompany emotional reactions to the advertisement packages and slogans. Excitement increases the body's perspiration rate, which increases the electrical resistance of the skin. Psychogalvanometer. The test is an indicator of emotional arousal or tension. Involuntary changes in the electrical resistance of the skin assumptions. Psychological changes accompany emotional reactions. That's the assumption behind the psychogalvanometer. Voice pitch analysis measures emotional reactions through physiological changes in a person's voice. Voice pitch analysis. Voice pitch analysis is a relatively new physiological measurement technique that gauges emotional reactions is reflected in physiological changes in a person's voice. Abnormal frequencies in the voice caused by changes in the autonomic nervous system are measured with sophisticated audio-adapted computer equipment. Voice pitch analysis. Computerized analysis compares the respondent's voice pitch during warm-up conversations, normal range, with verbal responses to questions about his or her evaluative reaction to television commercials or other stimuli. This technique, unlike other physiological devices, does not require the researcher to surround the subjects with masses of wires or equipment. Thank you. That's all for part 2.